Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Morning Show with your hosts, Wayne and Gabby.
Hello, good morning.
Welcome, real estate investors. Welcome to Canadian Real Estate Investing Morning Show. Have we got a show for you guys today? Today we're going to be talking all about how to screen tenants for your rental properties. What we want to make sure is that we're getting the right people in and we're not getting the wrong people in to reduce the risks of us getting bad tenants. We want to make sure we get the best tenants. We want to make sure we get the best tenants who are going to stay the longest, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because tenant turnaround could be one of our highest costs when we own rental properties. So we definitely want to make sure we have the best people in there. And also, bad tenants can be some of the biggest challenges that we face, not just in cost, but kind of to our own mental health, having to deal with it. Stress.
We get into real estate investing to build wealth. We get into real estate investing to take the wealth that we have and to build more, to provide better opportunities for ourselves, for our kids, for our future generations. And we don't want that to affect today. We don't want that to affect our lives today. We want to try and make it as passive as possible. Now, investing in real estate is not completely passive. I know we call it passive investing, and it can be in some ways passive, at least the way that we built out our systems. It's generally relatively pretty passive, but it does require a bit of work. And if you don't set it up correctly, then I can promise you it will not be passive.
Yeah, absolutely.
It will become your new job.
Yeah, and I find that the people with more risk tolerance and loose systems have the most management that they need to deal with day to day. Whereas people who have really tight systems, really low risk tolerance, and just like stick to finding really great tenants in their really great rental properties are going to just be able to more or less set it and forget it.
Yeah.
Do the little bit of work that needs to be done every once in a while on their property. Otherwise, it's smooth sailing.
That's what
we want for you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why when we bring up, that, or maybe perhaps you brought up to somebody that you know that you want to invest in real estate or you own rental properties, instantly people are like, oh, aren't you worried about this? Aren't you worried about that? Oh, I had this and they did this. Well, those are clearly people who are not sophisticated, who have not built sophisticated systems, who were probably victims of some of the things that Gabby's talking about, some of the big risks. And they were exposed to those risks, and I'm pretty sure they got those risks. They felt it. And they realized them. And it's unfortunate, but what we want to do, like Gabby said, is make sure that you build the right systems to prevent those things from happening. There are lots of scary things that can happen. There are lots of questionable people that could take possession of your property and that could do things that you don't want them to do, like damaging your property or like taking over your property and not paying. And that could put some serious stress on you as a human being, having to not only cover your own fine expenses for your own property, now you got to cover the expenses for a second property. And that's not why you got into it. You bought this property because you wanted somebody else to pay down the mortgage. You wanted somebody else to pay for the expenses. You wanted somebody else to provide you the money for those expenses so that you could build wealth, right? Yeah. And we don't want this to be a money pit. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to make sure that we're going to teach you guys how to screen tenants properly to make sure that you don't get the wrong tenants. You get the right tenants who are going to stay for a very long time, treat that property like it's their own, and help you pay down that mortgage and realize all of those gains and those profits from that property. Before we get into that, who do we got joining us this morning? Oh, it looks like a little light on the crowd this morning. Oh,
light on the crowd this morning, but Kirsten's here. She said, "Good morning, friends."
See, Manny's there as well.
Yeah, Manny's here. Said good morning. Carmen's here. Says good morning. We only know you're here if you talk to us.
If you chat with us, yeah. So please let us know that you're here. Let us know where you're from if it's your first time. This happens every time we take time off. This is why I don't like taking time off on the show, because we come back and then they're not back in their routine
Hard
yet.
To get back into the routine.
And it takes weeks before the regulars come in or before we start getting lots of people showing up live on the show. But we do broadcast the show live every weekday morning, except when we go on vacation. We broadcast it live through YouTube, so you can find it through the Canadian Real Estate Investing Morning Show, or you can find it through looking up Wayne Hillier. We broadcast the show at 7 a.m. for you guys. We provide free education for real estate investors across Canada and free coaching. So if there's anything that you need help with, anything at all related to the business of real estate or real estate investing, You just join us live at 7 a.m. You put your questions in the chat. We will answer your questions for you. Okay. Anything that you need help with. We provide free coaching for real estate investors. And if you can't make it live because that time doesn't work for you, because it's 9 a.m. in Ontario, or it's a little too early, maybe it's 6 a.m. On the West Coast, you can email your questions in as well. Email your questions to info@reimorningshow.com. Anything at all, we'll answer on the show. Free coaching. We're doing the show live from Edmonton, Alberta. That's where we live, and that's where a majority of our investments are, but we have investments all over Alberta. We got a special guest coming on the show tomorrow, Calvin Hexter.
Yes.
He is an investor-focused realtor in Edmonton. He's going to be joining us to give us a market update.
I'm excited for a market update. I have no idea what's going on out there.
Oh, we are right in the peak of the year. This is typically when it's the busiest. This is typically when you see the prices get the highest for real estate. This is where there is the most demand, but now we're starting to see the most amount of listings as well. This is typically when people list their homes as well. So we've been on our way up since February. This is typically where it peaks. And then typically in August, we go down.
Yeah.
And because less buyers, but we still have all that, all of that inventory that's been added. Now, I have famously said a line. I've famously shared my favorite time, one of my favorite times. Favorite? Yeah, I'll say it's my favorite. I'm going to commit.
Okay.
My favorite time to buy is in July.
July.
The time to buy is in July. July is the time to buy, however you want to say it.
Okay. I don't know if I knew that.
What? You didn't know that? It's
I
tattooed.
mean, maybe I've heard,
it's tattooed on my lower back.
Maybe I've heard you say it. Okay. But we're not buying anymore in July, right? I just feel done with buying for a bit.
Okay, so the only reason she doesn't like this is because we've just been buying like crazy lately. But I'm sorry, sweetheart, but July is the time to buy. July is the time where, as I said, you had all those buyers, and then the buyers start to slip away because they're all enjoying,
Vacation.
They're heading down to Waterton, they're heading to the West Coast, they're heading out fishing, they're camping, you know what I mean? They're glamping, they're doing all the summer stuff, they're jumping in the lake, they don't want to go out looking for properties anymore. They've already got them. They've been writing their offers since March.
Okay.
So home buyers typically go away, investors typically go away, but we've also been building up all of this new inventory as well. So if you had all this buildup of buyers and you had all this buildup of inventory, but then the buyers go away, now we have an overwhelming supply of inventory. And when you have lots of inventory on the real estate market and nobody's looking to buy and it's been sitting for a while, that seems like a pretty good time to sneak in and be like, hey, I'll buy your property. But you don't have nearly as much competition. And when you don't have nearly as much competition and real estate's been sitting for a little bit longer, you have more motivated sellers. So July is a terrific time to buy if you guys are looking, if you're investors. Or maybe you're a homeowner and you're trying to get your first one and you've been patient and you haven't been desperate to, just jump on any property. July can be a great time and a great opportunity to pick up some really good deals. And some of my best deals that I've ever picked up have been in July.
But not this year.
Maybe. We're taking possession of one or two properties this month. I have to look at my calendar. I can't remember. I live off of my calendar. I can't look past more than 2 days in advance. But I know we're taking possession of at least one in a week or two. And I'm very excited for that. A really good deal that we got. And I don't know, Gabby. Maybe it depends. It's funny. I was looking in my email yesterday. I don't remember why I was looking. I think I was just doing some research, and I noticed that there were two properties there. I'm like, hey, how did I not see these? These were listed like a week or two ago. And she goes, you're not buying them.
Yep.
Just too busy.
Yeah.
But if it's a great deal, I mean, like, regret, Gab. I mean, years from now, we'll look back and be like, why didn't we buy? At the very least, I will wake up in the middle of the night years from now and I'll be like, God damn it, why didn't I buy those when they were just literally just sitting there? And that's the thing. It's like, that's what I said to you yesterday. I'm like, how have these been sitting here for 2 weeks and I didn't notice?
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure.
These are amazing deals. And in years from now, we will look back on it and be like, I can't believe those were just sitting there. Yeah. And I just ignored them.
Yeah. I think as maybe like a new investor trying to get into it or trying to grow their small portfolio to, obtain some more properties, I think in those type of situations, we might see regret for not taking action right now when they are literally sitting on the MLS waiting to be taken, and we can see what good deals they are. But I think in our circumstance where, we have everything we need, everything we've ever wanted, that at this point you start looking at your lifestyle and looking at your capacity to kind of like, okay, what do we want to be doing here?
Yeah.
And like, I just think like, okay, I don't need more properties on my plate right now. I just simply don't. I don't want
But we
it.
do though.
And I don't think I'll regret that.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to do it. And you know what?
Kibosh.
What's that?
I'm going to kibosh.
Yeah, well, the thing is that I totally understand what you're saying, and lifestyle is really important to me. Like as I mentioned earlier with screening tenants, and we want to make sure we get the right tenants because this is supposed to be passive. Yeah. And why overdo it if you don't need it? But I'm telling you right now, these deals are absolutely phenomenal. Incredible. And if you guys are looking for deals right now, please do not sit around. Stay away from Waterton or wherever else you guys are going. Stay away from the Sunshine Coast. Stay away from where else do the kids going? Stay away from Alberta Beach, wherever you're planning your next trip. Because there's just awesome deals. So like one of the two deals that we were looking at, and you know this, Gabby, one of the two deals we were looking at was a house in Edmonton that had a massive lot, and we could easily build a multi-unit garden suite on it. And these particular types of lots for that type of property do not pop up very often. And I mean, maybe once every week, every 2 weeks. That's not a lot considering the size of Edmonton. So in order to get a property that fits the criteria that I'm looking for, in order to build a multi-unit garden suite in Edmonton, I need to have a house that's in great condition, that's at a great price, and I need it to be on a lot that is massive. Mm-hmm. And that property was literally sitting there for 2 weeks, and I'm like, I gotta buy this, because if I don't buy this, how do I know that I'm telling you, like it once every 2 weeks, but what happens if later this year none come up? Yeah. I want to build more. I want to build more garden suites. We talked about this. It is the greatest opportunity in Canada right now for real estate investors. Building multi-unit garden suites on residential lots in Edmonton is the best opportunity. The deals that we're doing, we're creating $250,000 worth of equity upon completion and full rent up, and over $1,500 a month in cash flow. Mm-hmm. It's phenomenal. Yeah. Not to mention the fact that you've increased the value significantly when you're done construction, so you could refinance the property and pull a large majority of your initial capital back out.
Yeah, it's an incredible opportunity. Absolutely.
It's a burr on steroids.
Yeah, literally,
right?
Literally. Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I might call Calvin today. Maybe I'll talk to him about it on the show tomorrow. But if you guys want to learn more about how to do this, just like we are, take advantage of this amazing opportunity at Edmonton. We have a workshop coming up on July 25th in Edmonton in person. Yep. July 25th is the Edmonton Garden Suites 101 workshop. Come and join myself and Gabby and the team at Edmonton Garden Suites Limited. We'll sit down with you. We'll teach you everything you need to know about building garden suites so that you can maximize your equity growth. You can maximize your profits. You can maximize your cash flow as well for your residential lots in Edmonton. Yeah. Super awesome opportunity.
Yeah, it's only a couple weeks away. It's like 2 weeks.
Is that 2 weeks away?
Yeah.
Well, you better get your tickets in. It's only $20. It's $20. And it's on a Saturday. You get to spend the afternoon with us. It's just going to be an amazing, amazing time. You get your tickets at reimasters.ca. We look forward to it. Mm-hmm. And hey, today, now go sign up for that. Now, go grab a pen and paper. When we come back from the break, we're going to teach you guys how to screen tenants.
Yeah.
So you're going to build that multi-unit garden suite. You're going to have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tenants now on this property. You better figure out how you're going to screen them and how you're going to get the right tenants who are going to stay a long time, going to reduce the repairs and damages. We're going to reduce the unpaid rents, and we're going to reduce the vacancies so that way you can make more profits. Like I said, we're going to take a quick little commercial break. When we come back, Gabby's going to share her tips and her tricks on how to properly screen tenants. We'll be right back.
Real estate investors need to treat debt differently than homeowners, and at Kirkland & Brennan Mortgage Group, we understand that. For the last 11 years, we've helped real estate investors plan and build their portfolios. We understand how to help you avoid fees, penalties, getting yourself stuck, and making sure that the deal you're doing today doesn't stop the deal you want to do tomorrow. You can reach out to Keaton, Keaton, at kbmortgages.ca. Put plan on the subject line, and we'll help you build a plan and then realize it for your real estate goals. We also coordinate with the other professionals like your accountant, lawyer, realtor, and we will help you build your portfolio. So reach out. We'll do our best to help. Thanks, guys.
You've got showings, lease signings, suite renos, condo board meetings, credit checks, mortgage financing, and every so often the tenant clogs the sink because they shoved macaroni down there. Stop. Breathe. Leave the bookkeeping to Fingo. Fingo is specialized real estate bookkeeping by real estate investors with tailored services for maximum returns. Save time. Enhance your returns. Claim the plumbing repair for that ridiculous macaroni fiasco. Book your free consultation at fingo.com.
Summer. While everyone's getting distracted, this is when the market gets quiet. Not because the opportunities disappear, but because the people do. Vacations, long weekends, these are the distractions I'm talking about. And that's exactly when serious investors make their moves. At Calvin Realty, this is one of our favorite windows. Less competition, more flexibility, and sellers who are actually open to negotiating. While everyone else is stepping away, we're stepping in. If you're looking to buy right, not just buy fast, this is your edge. Calvin Realty. Opportunity doesn't take time off.
So I'll tell you exactly where, what?
I was just going to say, Calvin Realty agrees with you. Now's the time.
Of course
Step
he does.
in.
Of course he does. You thought I was wrong?
No. Go ahead.
So I'll tell you exactly where this podcast topic came from today. This came from actually something that happened to us recently while we were away on vacation. We had a tenant applicant who came out to our property, and this tenant was amazing. Communication was fantastic. They met with our agent. Our agent had nothing but wonderful things to say about them. You got to rent to this guy. You got to rent to this family. They're amazing. Okay. And then immediately, like I said, communication was flowing nicely. They filled out the applications, right? The applications came in and we looked at it and we're like, oh my God, this application's amazing. And Gabby's just about ready to send over a lease for signature, but she's like, whoa. We better verify some of this information first just to make sure. And it was upon that moment or upon that time that we realized the information that they told us did not line up properly. It wasn't lining up at all. And it turns out this tenant just flat out lied to us. Flat out completely lied to us about the information that they provided once we screened them properly and did our proper due diligence. So this is why you need to know how to properly screen tenants, because if you don't, I mean, anybody can say anything and get the keys to your rental property.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really does just start with the application, like you just said.
That's it.
Yeah. And once they submit the application, that's your first view into who these people are, right? That's your first chance to look at it and say, do these people meet my internal criteria?
Yes.
Of who I expect to be applying and who I want as tenants in my rental property, right? And so it's at that point that it's like the starting point of this journey that we go on to select the right tenants in our property, the application.
So let's talk a little bit about what type of information you put on the application and why you put that information or why you request that on an application.
Mm-hmm. Well, it really just starts with their personal information. Of course, we want to know who they are, where they're currently living, their birth date, like all their email, their phone number, all their general information that we can compile and have, say we accept them as a tenant, we now have all of their personal information on who they are. What you're doing with an application and with all the information that you're collecting is if you accept them as a tenant, you're building this little vault of information should you ever need it down the road if anything goes wrong. Right. And so this is just, we just tuck it away. It's not like we need to know their, I don't know, birth date and all these types of things. It's not like we're doing anything with it while they're our tenant.
You're not sending them an edible arrangement?
No, we're not sending them birthday. I mean, that's actually, maybe a nice little touch, send them birthday cards every year or something. But
in a high vacancy rental market, maybe we will send out edible arrangements.
We want some tenant retention, yeah. But no, we're not doing anything with it except hanging on to it should we ever need it, right? So we just want to collect their general information. This is my chance to ask, like, hey, how's your credit? Is it good? Is it okay? Is it bad? Like generally speaking, I'm not saying when you apply, send me your credit report. I'm just saying, how is it? What do you?
You want to get that? She had a bug on the table.
A little critter. As a little guest. We had a guest on the show today.
I mean,
thank you for calmly just.
I was gonna reach over and grab it for you, but anyways, but obviously you're gonna get that information about the credit later. However, I find that asking it without asking for the credit report is a great way of being like, without asking, hey, what's your credit score like? And then in that moment, they will give you, well, it's poor, it's okay, it's fantastic. I had this happen to me when I was this, and I made some bad decisions when I was 18. You get a little bit more information. If you ask for the credit report, then you're just going to get all of the bad stuff. At least that gives them an opportunity to kind of explain the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also a quick filter. Like sometimes, when you ask them on the application, sometimes people will just never fill out the application because they're just like, oh, nah, it's not worth it.
Oh, they're asking for my credit. They're not going to accept me.
I'm not interested.
Yeah.
And so it's a good initial filter before you start requesting a bunch of information. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else on the application?
So we want to know that they're gainfully employed. So what's your occupation? How much monthly income do you bring in? So that gives us a screenshot into their affordability. We want to ask about their landlord references. So who's your current landlord? How long have you been there? Previous to that, who was your landlord before that, and where were you living? So that gives us the information should we, take this any further to do the proper checks that we want to do.
Right.
I think that's pretty much all the information. Oh, and if they have pets, because regardless if we are pet friendly or we're not pet friendly, we want to know if they have pets, right?
Right.
Because if we're not pet friendly, that's a good automatic, okay, you're not going to qualify, right? But if they do have pets, we want to know about them. So whatever information is important to you, you could ask that on the application.
Yeah.
In regards to the pet.
A quick little filter to determine whether this family or this individual is a good fit.
Yeah.
Before we start wasting any of our time or their time.
Yeah.
Requesting additional information.
Yeah. And what we can do is we can look at that application and we can say, okay, maybe they said they have, let's say it said they have terrible credit. And we look at the income that they said that they have, and it's extremely low in relation to the amount of rent that we're asking for. And they also said that there's going to be 4 adults and 5 kids in our, 3-bedroom. Yeah. It's pretty easy to go, okay, no, this isn't going to work.
Because it doesn't fit your tenant profile.
It doesn't fit our tenant profile. It doesn't fit the criteria that's important to us, right? So that's your chance to the application is like a screenshot into their life. For you to go, is this who we're looking for?
Yeah. Yes,
or maybe, or no, right? There's kind of like a scale because we can sometimes make maybes work, right? Yeah. And that's not saying we're settling. There's just some systems we can put in place for that. Right?
Absolutely.
So that's our first look at it. The application is that screenshot that we can say, do we want to move forward or do we just want to swipe this one aside? I don't know how the swipe right, swipe left thing goes.
I hope so.
I never had to do online dating. But we're going to swipe them the bad way, right? And either move them out or swipe them the good way and proceed.
Absolutely.
Right. So after we give them maybe they're a maybe or maybe they're a heck yeah, we want to pursue this. That's when we start asking for proof. Okay, you've said this is who you are. You've said this is what your credit is kind of like. You've said this is how much income you make. Prove it, right? So that's when we want to start asking for further documentation. So let's maybe start with their job and their income.
Yeah, and this is obviously where you caught, that red flag with the tenants that recently applied for one of our rentals. They looked fantastic. The application was fantastic. These guys are like, yes, they're an absolute
Excellent
yes.
credit.
Huge
really
thumbs
good
up.
income.
Yeah, this is amazing.
No pets.
And they fit the affordability criteria that we're looking for. No pets, so reduced damage.
Yeah.
And they even said that they really, really, really wanted to be in this area for personal reasons. I think it was family in the area or kids going to school there.
Yeah,
so this is like a home run for us.
Yeah.
But upon verifying their income, that's when you noticed, okay, this isn't lining up. So how do you go about verifying their income?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a couple ways. What I really like to do is I like to ask for a couple recent pay stubs, because this really and I say a couple because it shows me if their income is kind of steady, or if their hours vary, maybe they're more seasonal versus having just like a salaried, like steady income. So this gives me a screenshot into really how many hours they're working, how much money they're making, what's their hourly wage, and how much are they bringing in per month. So pay stubs are great for you to be able to kind of like look at all that information and verify that it is what they say that it is. That's of course the easiest thing to do. Right? It's right there. The pay stubs are right there. You can see it. And you can also call their employer to verify that.
Absolutely.
So don't just take a piece of paper. Anybody can doctor? Yeah. Forge a document saying that they make really good money, right? So don't always just take a piece of paper for it's worth what you want to call their employer and verify that they work there, that they're gainfully employed, and that their income is what they say it is, right? But that's a really good place to start. You could also ask for a T1 general.
Yeah.
Right?
For their taxes.
Their recent tax return. That's really going to tell you, like, this is the amount of income that they brought in last year. And you can break that down into monthly to see if the affordability is there to match the rent that you're asking.
Yeah, I like that personally. I mean, just to see if this is a consistent income. How long have they been there? And if they've been there for well over a year as well, that they're probably going to stay there. But if you get 2 months worth of pay stubs and they've only been there for 4 months, are they guaranteed that job? Is the job that they're working on?
Bless you.
The first time I've sneezed on video podcast. Just finished saying what I was going to say.
What were you saying? Oh, if they
work on a project.
Oh, if they work on a project, I don't know what you were going to say.
Well, perhaps they're working on like a project, like a road project or a bridge project.
Yeah.
And they're only there specifically for that project, which could be 8 weeks, 8 months, whatever.
Yeah.
You don't know are they going to be laid off in 6 weeks?
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
So,
which again isn't a deal breaker. Like, they'll.
But do they have work lined up? Are they a union employee? They're going to pull another ticket? Like what type? We need to know that there's going to be no interruptions from their ability to be able to pay the rent, from their ability to be able to afford the rent, right? Because we want to make sure that there's no surprises coming in the future with them saying, sorry, I can't pay the rent this month because I just got laid off from this road job.
Yeah, absolutely. Did that sound funny? It's not sitting right. Yes. So verifying the income is very important. A lot of people want to know kind of like how do you know if somebody can afford it? Like what's that kind of like threshold, right? And just as like a quick and easy tip that even the mortgage companies use. I don't know if it's changed much in the last few years, but I like to look around that 35%. So is the rent shouldn't really exceed around 35% of the income that they're bringing in each month.
That's just a quick and easy.
Yeah, quick
and
easy. We expand that and look at their whole application, but that's usually just like a pretty easy check. If it comes in and it's like, rent is 50% of their income, to me, I'm like, that's way too risky. Right? Yeah. So that's a point where I would just say, no, this isn't going to work and brush it aside.
We do take a few more things into consideration, and we've built a really good, acceptance criteria for us internally.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, for you, I would say if the tenant's rent was less than 40%, that would be reasonable for today's market right now.
Mm-hmm.
But taking other things into consideration, and also, whatever your risk tolerance is.
Exactly.
Ultimately, this is not law. This is not set in stone. This is not the way you have to do it. You determine your own acceptance criteria for what you deem is an acceptable affordability ratio between the rent and what their income is.
Yeah.
So that covers income verification.
Mm-hmm.
What about credit? I mean, I think that most people, new investors, new landlords, they automatically, what they want to see is, I want to see the credit report and I want to see their rating.
Yeah. A lot of people put a lot of weight into just the score in general. And they're like, it has to be at least 700 or it has to be at least 750. They think that like somebody needs stellar credit in order to be able to live in their property.
Well, good credit means good person.
Yeah, sure. Bad things happen to good people. And sometimes there's good reason. Sometimes people don't have credit because they just haven't built it yet.
Sure.
So there's so much more that we need to look at when we're talking about credit. But asking for a full credit report is really important. A lot of tenants will try to just send you their score. I usually find that when they do that, even after they're asked for the full report, it's usually because they're trying to hide something.
Yeah.
And then they'll start saying things like, oh, it's not letting me run the report, or, oh, this link isn't working, or this app isn't working, or whatever it is. They start trying to make excuses. And that's usually just red flags for me that they're waving. Because it's very simple to run a credit report and to save it and to send it. So I want to see the full picture. I don't just want to see a score, because a score doesn't fully tell you the story as to how they got there or why it's at that amount, right? You could have a really good score and be carrying a massive amount of debt, right? What?
That's a topic for another day. That's a rant for another day. I've never really put that together. I'm sorry to take you off track here, but that is definitely a rant for another day, because the direction that society is going in is a completely, it's like I don't, there's a proper term for it, but I can't get it right now at 7:30 in the morning, but we're no longer a society that lives with savings. We are a society that lives in debt. Mm-hmm. And the whole system is built on debt. We have overwhelming amounts of debt, and the countries have overwhelming amounts of debt, and we just manage the debt, and then we just, dial and tweak the inflation rate in order to manage it all, right? Determining, okay, we have this much debt, therefore let's just increase the inflation a little bit or decrease the inflation a little bit, so that we're the value of a dollar in order to manage it, so it doesn't all go
Kapowie.
Right? So everyone's in debt, countries are in debt, and we're just borrowing from the future. And yet, the metric or the metric that they use, or the how they measure someone's ability to borrow more debt, is based off of their rating. So but we just keep seeing, and I've seen that, we had this conversation quite a bit lately, because we're noticing affordability is getting worse and worse and worse. And we're noticing that almost like 99% of applications have terrible credit scores. Mm-hmm. Terrible credit scores. Everybody is behind on payments. Everybody has delinquent accounts, right? And so how much value and weight do we put on a credit score in the future if everybody is behind in terrible amounts of debt and they're unable to pay it? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I feel like for decades we've measured someone's ability, or measured someone's character and reliability based off of the score, and whether it's in the green or it's in the red, or whether it's above this or below that. And I wonder, in decades from now, how much value there will be in the credit score. It's like, years ago we used to look at the Better Business Bureau to find out who the best businesses are. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Or Google ratings, even more recently, but like even those are completely fabricated now. Yeah. So like we don't put much weight into the Better Business Bureau anymore, because it's nobody looks to that anymore. They look for online real reviews and things like that. So
Yeah.
I'm curious, like I personally, and I know that you agree with me, Gabby, we don't put too much weight into the score. What
Yeah.
you're explaining is that we're more interested in what's actually in that report. How much do you owe? What are the payments for those types of things? How is that affecting your ability to service this debt? How is that affecting your monthly payments and your obligations?
Mm-hmm.
And also, are you in a position that do we see any potential indications that you might be in a bad position in the future? If they have an overwhelming amount of debt, does this look sustainable for them?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, there's other things on that report as well that I love to dig into. I also just like to look at the credit inquiries. Like sometimes you'll get a credit report where it's like a page full of inquiries. And what that means is every time a company pulls their credit, meaning like maybe they were applying for a credit card, maybe they were applying for a vehicle loan. Anytime they're applying to get some sort of credit or loan, you get a credit inquiry. And so if somebody's just stacked with credit inquiries and they're recent, what were they trying to do? Were these like Fairstone loans? I think that's what it's called, Fairstone, or
Payday
Money
loans?
Mart. Payday loans. Because if they are, clearly they're not managing they're literally living behind paycheck to paycheck, right?
Yeah.
They're borrowing before their paycheck comes in. Right. So those are really interesting for me to look at. But then also, of course, collections, right? Or bankruptcies. It's not often that you see bankruptcies, but I find that there is a lot of delinquencies. There are a lot of people with stuff in collections. Sometimes it's minor stuff and you're like, why don't they just pay this and like have it wiped off their credit?
Your $200 TELUS bill.
Yeah. Like seriously, like you make good income. Why can't you just pay that $200 off and have it wiped and your score will increase?
Yeah.
But sometimes it's a lot worse than that. And so you can just see the history of like, okay, this doesn't look like somebody who's managing their money well, and we're probably going to have a problem here.
So now we've taken a report that takes the information from, how many, like you said, credit inquiries. They take information from, how much debt they have on their credit file. And then they take information of like how their history of making those payments on that debt has been. But another thing that you can do to verify whether someone pays or doesn't pay, specifically paying the rent, would be to check with references of previous landlords to see, hey, yeah, maybe they never paid that $200 TELUS bill, which I don't understand why they didn't, why they let it go so far. But has that ever affected their ability to pay their rent in the past?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's usually just a quick call or a quick email. But my recommendation here, and of course, that's to their previous landlords and their current landlord, right? And open-ended questions, right? So whenever we get like people request landlord references from us, I find that the mistake that they make is that it's like yes and no questions.
What do you mean? Like the new landlords asking you yes or no questions?
Yeah, for reference for one of our previous tenants or one of our current tenants that are leaving. And it's just like, did they pay rent on time? Yes. Did they keep the place in good repair? Yes or no. Like it's just yes or no, yes or no, yes or no. So literally it's like duh, 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 and you send it off. But I like asking open-ended questions where it gives them a chance to talk and to like, that's normally when they start to reveal. And maybe it's like, well, yeah, like, for the most part, rent always did come in on time, but there was a few times where they were late. I kind of had to, bug them and follow up on them and ask them when the rent's coming in, but eventually it did. And so they start to divulge more if you can ask open-ended questions instead of just yes, no. Because what does yes or no really give you? Especially if
you want the dirt.
Yeah, you want the dirt.
Yeah, I want to know the little things. I want to know the things that really irked them and annoyed them about this tenant. Because I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes, did I say this? Sometimes, if we're not renewing a tenant for whatever reason, whatever annoying reason, they may have been a good tenant who paid on time. They may have, not damaged the property, but we may have really not liked them as tenants.
Yeah. Might have been incredibly difficult. Yeah.
Do I want to give the next landlord a reason not to rent to them?
Yeah.
And then our tenant's in a situation now where they're like, I couldn't find a place to go because nobody accepted me, and it was my fault. And I mean, I like yes or no answers.
Yeah, and you know, as far as this list of things that we're talking about, landlord references are what I give the least amount of weight to, because it's also very easy for somebody to just put their friend or, you know, whomever as their reference that you call up, and, you know, you're just asking yes or no. Did they pay their rent on time? Yep. Did they keep the place in good repair? Yep.
Yeah.
You know, personally, it's something that even sometimes I've skipped and I felt fine about it. But I will say one thing though, and that wasn't a recommendation for anybody. Please don't ever skip any of these steps. I've just been doing it a really long time, and our risk tolerance is far greater because we know what to do when we do end up with a bad tenant, which we have had several in the past that we've had to deal with. But, oh gosh, what was I going to say? Oh, you would be surprised. You'd think that a tenant wouldn't put a bad reference, but sometimes they do. Like, we've had instances where people have called us for a reference and we're like, why did the tenant give them our information?
Yeah.
Like, we have nothing good to say about them.
Yeah.
Right. So sometimes don't be surprised at thinking it'll just be a glowing reference every time. It's not always. And you can learn some really good things by calling landlord references.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got some.
There's lots of stuff happening in the chat. I haven't read it.
Yeah, it's. I'll go through some of it. We got some really great comments because we are live on YouTube right now, and I wanted to start off by saying there was something the $200 unpaid TELUS bill that we were referring to. Josh had said the $200 unpaid TELUS bill debt can be a behavioral red flag. And maybe they're the type of people that think, well, they screwed me over, so I'm going to screw them over. Just out of spite, they won't pay it. They're willing to put themselves in collections and damage their credit, you know, because they don't agree with the roaming charges that they that they got from when they turned their phone on in a different country or something along those lines. I don't know if that's still a thing. But, you know, sometimes historically, you know, I remember, you know, decades ago, like, you know, if you went over your minutes on your phone, or you texted more than your kids texted more than what they were supposed to, back when we used to pay for text individually. You know, parents would get the bill and they'd be like, $500 extra. This is bullshit. No, my kid didn't do that. I asked my kid and they said no. And I just remember so many like applicants having that excuse for why they never paid the TELUS bill or something like that. So it's one of those things that like Josh said, it can be a behavior thing where that's the type of people that they are.
100%.
And is that the type of person that you want to rent to?
Yeah.
Additionally, Carmen had said, do you pay for the application for the credit report? And that's a great question. Now, we personally use a program or a website that is free, so we don't have to do that, and we get the tenant to pull that that credit report for us. But there are paid credit reports and paid services that you can get to obtain the credit, but also additional information as well. And one example, and one that we like to use for our rent-to-own company and our financing company, is a website called Single Key. And Single Key will do a much more in-depth and further analysis. But that does come at a cost of $25. Now, just to answer your question, I mean, in that case, at least for our rent-to-own business and our financing business, I will say that normally what we do is we will get the applicant to pay for it. And then what we explain to them is that if they are approved, then we will reimburse them the $25. Do we do it personally for every rental application? No, just a short answer. You know, we teach a lot more about this in our remote property management course. And we teach our students more about ways to be efficient and ways to reduce friction to get the best tenants. Without teaching a whole course, I'm just going to give you the short answer of that. We don't do that because what we want is we want to reduce the friction. We want to get great tenants, and we don't want to lose people over telling them to pay $25. But I know that many investors and you know, in Canada, what they'll do is they will ask the tenant to pay the $25 and then reimburse them, or they'll just say that that's the application fee.
Yeah.
And which is totally fine. It's entirely up to you, but that's not something that we do. But I want to talk about single key a little bit and other programs, websites like that do a further in-depth analysis into the tenant.
Yeah, so what they actually do is not only do they pull the credit report and verify, their job and their affordability and all those things that we've already talked about. They look at all of those things, but they also do like criminal record checks. They do social media checks. So they do all these extra kind of like background checks on the tenant for you without you having to do anything. So it's all just like done in the background. They pull all the stuff and they give you kind of like a numbered like risk rating. But it's nice to get like that in-depth stuff. So that's like one of the perks of using something like single key. But I personally like to dig into the details myself. And you can also do your own social media checks and your own kind of like digging into who they are on your own. So if you're like a little bit of like a little sleuther, you like to, do that kind of stuff on your own, it's really easy to do that stuff as well.
I mean, there's always going to be programs out there and apps out there, for various different things that we like, hey, we can do all of this for you.
Yeah.
Are you having trouble finding this? Are you having trouble doing this? When you bend over, can you not touch your toes? Well, we can help. And then they offer some, magic pill or some program or some service that they can touch your toes for you. What a terrible example. But what I'm saying is that like, there's always going to be like hey, we could do it for you.
Yeah.
But for us, we're just like, we just know that that's just going to create more friction in the whole process. And we want to reduce the friction because we want to get as many applicants as possible applying. So for us, we like to just do it ourselves to reduce that friction. And so, all of these things you can find yourself. You can pull your own criminal record checks. You can do all these other things. You can pull, judgments at the Court of King's Bench. Additionally, you talked about verifying, doing criminal record checks within single key. You can. It also verifies identity. So what it asks them to do is import or submit a picture of their driver's license, and it verifies the identity, and then it does background checks. You can do that yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we do through the process as well during screening our tenants, is that we verify their identity. We ask for a picture of their ID so we can prove that this individual is who they say they are.
Yeah. Which might seem silly and might seem kind of like, why would isn't that creating more friction? But you'll definitely hear stories. We've had one of our own where people weren't who they said that they were. Yeah. And that was early on, we hadn't checked their IDs. So it is something that we absolutely implement. And I highly recommend it as well. And it can be just as simple as saying, hey, send a picture of your driver's license or your government issued ID.
I'm not worried about someone lying what their name is. What I'm worried about is I need to know their legal name.
Yeah.
To put it on the lease agreement. That's important because if they don't do what they say they're going to do, and I need to enforce that agreement, that contract, and I need to bring it to court, I need to have their legal name. And here's one example, and this is very common because we live in a multicultural country. There's many people that come from different countries where they might say that their name is Eddie, or they might say that their name is Tom, but that's not their legal name.
Yeah.
It might be an Asian name. It might be an Indian name. There's so many different, and so many people just have like, this is the name that I give you because my name is not Eddie. It's Eddie with 12 other characters afterwards that they just like, nobody's ever going to be able to pronounce it. So I just call myself Eddie, right? It's Edmure. You know what I mean? And I'm from Ireland, or Scotland. You know what I mean? Like it's some, so you have to make sure, don't just go by whatever their Facebook profile name is. Please.
Yeah. And you want that on your lease. And you also want it, like Wayne just said, should anything happen and you need to go after them for anything, you need to know what their legal name is, not what their nickname is, right? So
absolutely,
yeah,
it's
it is a very important step,
right? Because it's you need to have their legal name on the contract if you ever do need to enforce it. So,
I like something in the comments here. And it is going back a little bit about asking for the landlord references. Is Maya Thomas here in the comments says, I couldn't reach the current landlord because they were out of country. So I asked proof of e-transfer for the last 12 months showing rent payments.
That's creative.
That is creative. And I love it. That's so smart. It's something I would have never thought of. Or maybe I would have. I've, never given the opportunity. But I think that that's such a great creative thing to come up with. So good for you. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we've gone through most of, if not all of the things that you can do for screening a tenant. I mean, I will say that if you're hoping that there's something else, like there's some magic program, that's gonna automatically determine, whether this tenant is gonna be perfect or not. No program is gonna be able to help you with that. No service is gonna be able to provide you that assurance or certainty. What programs and services will do is they'll just make it easier for you if you're not familiar with how to do it yourself, or you want to save yourself some time. You can pay in order for someone to help you with it. But ultimately, you're very limited in the information that you can get to verify whether someone is going to do what they say they're going to do or not. And they could be perfect credit scores, they can have perfect affordability, they can have perfect everything, and then they could still not do what they say they're going to do. Or they could still, be terrible human beings. So you don't really have all that much assurance or certainty, but what we want to do is we want to check the boxes off check as many boxes that we can off in order to make sure that we're set up for the least amount of risk and we have the most assurance that we could possibly have that these are people that are most likely going to do what they say they're going to do. One last check that I'm going to add is a bonus here. And this is one that Gabby always adds in at the very end is a quick little a quick little
Online
search engine.
Yeah.
Search and running their names through various search engines and just put whatever search engine you can think of, right? You want to go through Facebook, you want to go through Google, you want to go through ChatGPT, you want to go through Reddit, you want to go wherever. Just plug it in any search engine you can think of and just see what comes up.
Yeah, and sometimes if they have a common name, it helps to write like their current location. So like maybe if they currently live in Edmonton, their name Edmonton, or if they're moving from a different province or a different city, putting that in. And you might some of the things that like might come up as maybe like a news article might be a good one or might be a bad one. You might find social media posts that they've either made on their own social media or within groups, right? So you get to see a snapshot. Maybe somebody else has mentioned them, or maybe it's something that they've put into a group and gives you kind of like a snapshot of like who they are or what kind of drama was happening or, those types of things. So you'll find all sorts of stuff. And I know you guys have heard some of our crazy stories in the past, and there's been several of them. Yeah. So you never know what you're going to find. And sometimes you find lovely articles, about wonderful things they've done.
Yeah. It might actually help.
Yeah.
It might actually help your decision to determine their character, right?
Yeah.
So that's the one last thing. If you guys want to learn how to manage your properties like Gabby does, so Gabby manages all of our properties. She does it remotely. We self-manage all of our properties, if you can imagine this. All the properties that we own, we self-manage all of them. We've never hired a property management company because we always wanted to have total control over the decisions. And so Gabby has been self-managing all of our rental portfolio since the beginning. And the system she's built is got us to the point today where we're able to share all these things with you. We're also able to share all of the amazing returns that we've gotten, the profits that we've gotten from our portfolio because of the fact that we're able to keep our expenses so incredibly low for the way that she manages it. And we're also able to do that full time and able to travel and able to homeschool our child and all those other things that we do to create an amazing life, and it doesn't impede on our lifestyle. So if you guys want to learn how Gabby does it, I would recommend heading to reimasters.ca and sign up for our remote property management course. This is a course that Gabby put on all by herself. It basically revealed every single one of her secrets about how to screen tenants, how to set up tenants, how to manage your portfolio and manage your rental properties from anywhere. When we say remote property management, we mean from anywhere. You can do it from your desk. You can do it from your living room. You can do it from your bed. You can do it while you're walking. You can do it while you're driving, but only carefully and safely, making sure that you're following all the rules of the road, the laws of the road. But you can do it from anywhere, and you can do it from a beach. You can do it from wherever you want to be. And that's how we do it. And we rarely, and I mean this, I would normally say we never go to our properties, but we rarely go to our properties because we've built systems that we can do it completely online, utilizing other individuals to go and do all the in-person stuff. So we have some of the best managed properties in Canada, and we never have to step foot at any of them, right? And so the remote property management course is all online. It's video. There's homework. There's quizzes. You get all of the resources that you need with it, like our lease agreements and checklists and all those things, templates, everything you need to be able to self-manage your properties. And I promise you, the savings that you're going to get, the savings alone for not having to hire a property manager and by doing it yourself is going to pay for the course 1,000 times. 1,000 times. So I highly recommend head to reimasters.ca and just look under the courses tab. It's right there. You can get started and you have access to it for as long as you want. So you don't have to do it today. I'd say, I can't remember how many modules it is, but it should take you if you just do an hour a day or a couple hours a week, it'd take you a few weeks to do, right? So you do it at your own pace. I get it. You guys are busy. But everything that you need to know about how to manage your properties, self-manage your properties from anywhere is all in that course. I highly recommend it. And that wraps up today's show.
Awesome.
Tomorrow, we've got Calvin Hexter, investor-focused realtor from Edmonton, Alberta, is on the show. He's going to be giving us an Edmonton real estate market update. We will see you guys there.
Thanks for listening. Want to be coached personally by Wayne and Gabby? Then you should join the Real Estate Investing Masters Mentorship Program. Details are in the show notes to get started.